Welcome into the JAKIB Media Halftime Show, where the Philadelphia Eagles right now trail the San Francisco 49ers 14-6. And the biggest difference in that first half between being in the lead and trailing, very simple, finishing in the red zone. Eagles, in their first two possessions, ran 24 plays, but unfortunately both stalled out. Both possessions stalling out in the red zone, with the Eagles settling for 2 field goals in that instance, whereas the San Francisco 49ers able to cash in the latter stages of that first half. Marc Farzetta with you here for the JAKIB Media Halftime Show, along with Kayla, Santiago, and Bill Colarulo as well. John McMullen will be joining us from Lincoln Financial Field coming up in just a little bit. But to start it out with Kayla here, you look at that first half, and really it came down to that efficiency in the red zone. Sure, the Eagles were able to get points, something they struggled with early on in the season, but have not struggled with at all leading into that first field goal where they had scored 12 times consecutively in the red zone when it came to touchdowns, Kayla.
And I think right now also, though, it's a tale of two quarters, because I think in the first quarter, yes, they didn't score in the red zone. They were 0 for 2, but they were 4 for 6 in their first 2 possessions on third down, and that's something that I really thought would carry over into the second quarter, and then they would get through and finally score, but clearly that did not happen. I feel like I liked how Jalen Hurts was moving a little bit better in that first quarter. He was able to evade the pocket and either throw it away or find a Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown. But that second quarter, he's scrambling almost into a sack is what it seems like. And defensively, they're just not able to keep up with San Francisco. You can see the 49ers made a lot of adjustments in that second quarter of action.
Bill, 2 really ugly sacks. One was a slip from Jalen Hurts. The other, he had all day to throw the football, never got rid of it, and then ended up running into a sack.
Offensive line is doing their job. They're blocking this really good 49ers defensive line. Hurts has to get rid of the ball there. I don't know what he's waiting for. I don't know what he's thinking. Get outside the pocket, throw it away, live to see another day. Got to be better. You look at the sacks. Eagles had 1 for 2 yards. 49ers had 2 for 24 yards. That was a big difference on why they couldn't convert in that red zone on that second drive.
Absolutely. Let's head to Lincoln Financial Field right now and talk to our NFL insider and co-host of Birds 365 right here on the JAKIB Media Sports Channel, John McMullen from the Link. John, very different first and second quarter when it came to the Philadelphia Eagles and their production offensively. What did you see? Why were they so successful early, and then why has that evaded them there in the second quarter?
Well, I think, you're right, a tale of 2 quarters, and bottom line is San Francisco in their quarter, which was the second quarter, they scored touchdowns, Philadelphia settled for field goals, so that's kind of the difference in the game right now. But yeah, you're 124 in total yardage to -6 for San Francisco. You just got that feeling, complete dominant 15 minutes of football, and they're only up 6-0. The pass rush was so relentless. It was clear Brock Purdy was not comfortable. And that's not sustainable for 60 minutes of football. So San Francisco kind of figured some things out, took advantage of the middle of the field a little bit as we thought they might have an advantage. Got George Kittle involved, Deebo Samuel involved a little bit. Brandon Ayuk is clearly, the Eagles are worried about him going deep. They're playing a lot of soft coverage on him, so that there might need to be a little bit of an adjustment there. But yeah, the second quarter was the exact opposite. So, San Francisco gets 173 yards in the second quarter. The Eagles get 21. And it was completely flipped on its head, and they finished drives. So that's where we are, and clearly I heard you guys mention the 2 sacks of Jalen Hurts, and you're exactly right. They were both bad coverage sacks, not on the offensive line at all. He's got to get rid of the football. Obviously, the first one, he was looking for A.J. Brown to sort of break away in the end zone, try to do an Olamide Zaccheaus from last week. He kind of tripped a little bit. Second one, got to get rid of the football. That put the Eagles in some bad situations, although right after that second one was the slip screen to Devontae Smith. They actually converted, but they got nothing going in the second quarter for the second straight game. They're serenaded by boos coming off the field at halftime. 10-1 team. Let's see if they can come back again. But right now, San Francisco looks like they took the big punch. They survived, and here they are with all the playmakers.
And, John, right now they're 0 for 2 in the red zone, and field goals are just not going to cut it against this team, especially in the second half. What play calling do you want to see, and what do you think they need to do to try and break that barrier, especially in the second half of action?
Well, I think they just need to finish, and they've been tremendous in the red zone over the past, really since week 5. And all of a sudden we're back to some of the issues early in the season, not being able to finish drives. Usually it's those negative plays. In the case of the first big sack, obviously you're going to have to settle for a field goal. So the negative plays tend to be the issues when they get in the red zone. They certainly had San Francisco on their heels in the first quarter. I imagine they try to get back to what they were doing and just make sure to eliminate those negative plays, and they should be fine. But, you know, we saw those slants to A.J. Brown. They looked really good early, and they went away for it. So went away from it, so maybe that gets back into the mix. Plenty of time left, though, to adjust, and the Eagles have done that pretty consistently.
John, the Eagles defense did a really nice job on those first 2 drives, holding the 49ers to not convert on third down, 2 3 and outs. Since then, 49ers have been 4 of 4 on third down. What's San Francisco doing differently to be able to stay on the field on these third downs?
Well, early in the game, it was the pass rush. I mean, it was just a pass rush, speeding up Brock Purdy, not comfortable, and you know, San Francisco got, as I mentioned, settled down a little bit. You can't rush the passer like they were in those first couple drives for an entire game. It just takes too much energy. So you knew there would be a slight adjustment, but obviously we talked about the weakness of the San Francisco offense. It's those 4 offensive linemen other than Trent Williams, and that's going to be the same thing in the second half. So Hassan Reddick was terrorizing Brock Purdy early. He's got to get back to that. Josh Sweat's got to play more disciplined football. He's got tough duty against Trent Williams. He's trying to get, you know, a couple little jumps, and he's got to settle that down, even if you're not making plays on that side of the field. They need more from that defensive front, because bottom line is, if they don't speed Brock Purdy up, George Kittle and Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel are going to gut you in the middle of the field, because the Eagles just can't keep up with them.
Certainly, John. And one of the things that the Eagles have been haunted by all season long is how they're just not able to defend against tight ends. And one of the best in the league, and George Kittle's coming in here to Philadelphia, already has 60 yards today on just 3 catches. What do they need to do in order to stop him, aside from all the motion you're seeing out of the backfield to George Kittle and Deebo Samuel? But to keep it on the tight end, what do you need to see from this Eagles defense in order to attempt at least to take him out of the game?
Well, and I go back to the pass rush. I'm like a broken record. They're not going to be able to hold up without the pass rush. So you got to make it easier. They're playing a lot of big nickel, as I speculated, in known pass situations. So Sidney Brown, they kind of, last week it was Kevin Byard playing the linebacker position. Now it's Sidney Brown with Kevin and Reed Blankenship on the back end. So that's what they're trying to do, to cover a little bit better and try to deal with the 49ers playmakers. But look, when you have a great defensive backfield, you're going to have issues with Kittle and Ayuk and Samuel, and the Eagles don't have a great defensive backfield. So who's got to make up for it? That's where the pass rush comes in. You saw it in living color in the first quarter. When you speed up Brock Purdy, you have an opportunity to get off the field. If he's going to have time, you're going to have some issues, because guys like Kittle are going to be open.
Absolutely. John McMullen, our NFL insider. John, thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to talking to you hopefully about another Eagles come-from-behind victory in the Eagles postgame show. Thanks so much, brother. John McMullen joining us right there from Lincoln Financial Field. All right, we talk about this every single week. It's almost the Eagles' natural habitat where they have to come back in the second half. You would like a game where they don't have to do that, one you could be a little bit more comfortable. I don't think any of us were expecting that kind of game here, especially against the 49ers. But Kayla, looking at the second half, what do you need to see from this Eagles team to make sure they lock up another win?
You're absolutely right. We say this every single week, and this is a week I feel like they need to go out there and get a defensive stop right away, because the 49ers get the ball out of the second half of action. So if the Eagles don't get a stop to me, I think the 49ers walk away with this game, because they are just so impactful on both sides of the ball right now. And really, it's Sean Desai again. I mean, he's been so good at it all year long, making second-half adjustments. But in a game like this, if he doesn't do that and the 49ers win, I think it's a point of the season when you start talking about it can't just be second-half adjustments. It needs to come out right out of the gate once kickoff happens.
Yeah, the slow start. That has been a question throughout this entire week. Brian Johnson was asked about it. Nick Sirianni was asked about it a number of occasions when he addressed the media this week. Definitely can't start slow, especially against this team, and this has proven true. Bill, what are you seeing?
On the defensive side of the ball, I'd like to see Desai run a little bit more five-man fronts. We saw it at times in that first half. They're really effective against the run in a five-man front. But I'd also go with a nickel and a five-man front at the same time. Get Christian Ellis off the field in passing downs. Go with 5 defensive backs, 5 down linemen, stop the run, take away the pass. And on offense, you got to establish the run. They've only called 7 running plays to their running backs. They've thrown the ball or called passing plays 26 times. 2 of them were sacks. I think you have to establish the run on offense. You got to take away the run on defense. But hey, we have them right where we want them. We've been down 5 straight weeks. Let's win this damn game.
Yeah, again, the natural habitat for this Eagles team. One thing I need to see is the Eagles embracing the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game, and it's something we've talked about and heard about really ever since the preseason, ever since training camp, embracing the uniqueness of his game. Jalen Hurts has an opportunity to run, which he did early on in this game, and he ran the football. You look at this team and how they were able to get production for 24 plays in their first 2 possessions. A lot of that was Jalen Hurts making plays, especially on third down, and his receivers being able to make plays for him. But I think it's going to come down to simply this. Jalen Hurts making plays for this offense. All the adjustments we talk about, I think it's going to come down to Jalen Hurts simply making plays for this offense. And if he's got to do it with his legs more often, then he's got to do it with his legs more often. Thanks for watching the halftime show here on the JAKIB Sports Channel. We'll be back with you guys again, hopefully after another Eagles victory for the Pond Hockey postgame show with Mike Missinelli. We'll be joining our crew after the game. See you then.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. I'm Gary Kane, president of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Some say courage is something you're born with. Others say courage is something you find. In every generation throughout history, courage has been celebrated, sought after, needed. It holds the potential for a life of impact. But what if courage isn't just something you hope for or stumble upon? What if courage is something that can be shaped at a place that inspires you, where leaders invest in you, your community believes in you, and your life becomes something bigger than it could ever be alone?
Eagles. Eagles.